So I want to really get into this episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is episode 27, y'all. Y'all know they love a 30 episode season. It be driving me bonkers. But listen, if we're going to get 30 episodes of a show featuring an African American cast, a minority cast, I am here for it. All right. So here we are, episode 27. It's called Oops, I Spun It Again. I'm going to read you the description and then we're going to dive right on in. Destiny and Nell make nice for now. Tisha finds a way to anger Marsau. Destiny questions Tisha's motives. Kimmi casts doubt on Marsau's feelings towards Maurice. And Tricia tries to change her story again. The Scott brothers meet for a serious talk. Okay. I left this episode feeling like just a little bit disturbed, but it also gave me a lot of clarity and confirmed what I think a lot of you have been saying or feeling with regards to Latisha. Much of, I think, the energy that Latisha has been having pent up, and she admits to having this pent up energy, to me, it seems to come from the frustrations, that she deals with Marsau. In this episode, she is literally trying to plead her value, trying to express that she feels undervalued and devalued by Marsau, and it literally falls on deaf ears. And I would wager to say that the things that Marsau says to her are far worse than the things that either Destiny or Miss Nell have said to her. Okay? In this episode alone, it's very, very frustrating for me to watch as number one, as a man, as a commentator, because I don't necessarily have a dog in this fight, right? I am simply someone who is watching to be entertained. But sometimes these couple interactions, as I'm sure if you see any couple interact in their own home, is going to at some point frustrate some faction of the audience. I readily admit that. But this episode, oh no, this took the cake. So we're going to get to it second. All right. I want to talk about the order in which these things occurred. The first thing we see is, and I got to address this, Destiny and Nell, and I am a little bit upset with production and the network. Now, I know it's my fault. It's my fault because I saw a walk off last week and I said, how'd she walk off without her pocketbook, her purse? Destiny left her purse at the table. I should have known. But see, I didn't know because 2 weeks ago she had left the scene and she was walking through the maze of the building trying to find her way to the exit. And listen, I told y'all, when you make a dramatic exit, gather all your things, know where you're going, and if you can't figure it out, make sure they can't follow you. You just need to look like you left and you weren't seen again until you want to be seen again. All right? Again, this is coming from someone who has made quite a few dramatic exits in my day. For people who know, for anybody who knows me, you know that my tolerance is really like, I have a pretty high tolerance for like things and people. But when I reach the top, oh no, I'm out. End of the scene, wrap this thing up, take the mic off, I'm out of here, and I'm out. I mean, I don't care what's happening. I've made plenty of them. So I know how to do a dramatic exit. Something snaps in my mind and I'm like, you don't have to be here. Leave. So when I see Destiny walk away after Nell tells her from last episode, hey, if you didn't like it, you didn't have to stay there. And she gets up from the table. I'm thinking to myself, oh, we got another dramatic exit. And I should have known. No, it won't. She was going to look for the girl to bring them drinks. What? So the way it's positioned is that Miss Nell says that Destiny needed a moment to cool off. And maybe she did. Maybe she did, y'all. Maybe she did. Maybe she did. And I think that probably is a thing for people, right? More people may, in reality TV situations, need a minute to cool off and really just like reassess. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that because that is in fact real, right? Generally speaking, if you are engaged in an argument with someone that you are really actually cool with or really love, it's probably best to just take a second before you really go too deep into, territory that you can't come back from. So I'm not mad at it. I'm just the way it was presented. And then I saw that purse still on the table. I was like, are we being fooled? Are we being tripped? Are we being gooped and got? And sure enough, I was. Okay. Somewhat. But the way that the conversation went when Destiny got back, I think it allowed Miss Nell an opportunity to reassess how she approached the situation, which I was super proud of her for. I do feel like Destiny and Nell want to have a friendship. What I like about Destiny and Nell, I think above anybody amongst the other women, I think that Destiny and Nell are have the acknowledgement that they are two different people with two different ways of thinking, and they're not going to always get along. But this makes for good TV because they have a willingness and a desire to be very honest with each other, even when it provides or it's not necessarily comfortable to do so. And I respect that so much because on some shows, we talked about this with Atlanta sometimes, that you have like this sort of like queen bee, the head person in charge. And sometimes I feel like some of the girls are afraid to have difficult conversations with Portia. And as a result, it makes the show. I wish that some of y'all were okay with confronting her like K Michelle did, and it be a situation where, okay, we can either move forward and you allow Portia the opportunity to either apologize or try to figure out a way through it. That makes for good TV. So it makes Nell and Destiny feel like they can come together or not. And there's no consequence for it other than we're going to have to figure this thing out. Conversely, I think it's a little more difficult for Tisha and Kimmi to disagree at this point because I think that they've had that level of discord before. And I just feel like they are going to work super hard to not ever go there again. And does that make for the best show? I don't know, but it does represent a reality that we are family, and beyond this show, we still have to coexist. And I could be picky about it, but as a viewer, that's kind of what I see. But I would like to also see that if they have differing opinions about something, that they express it to each other. And maybe something gets heated, maybe not, but they can bring it back, like Nell and Destiny. They do wonder, though, like we did, why Twan volunteered this information about Kayla, then only to say that it was a rumor, then actually for it to be the truth. I don't understand what Twan's intentions are or what his purpose is for doing any of that because it makes absolutely no sense. Better to not have said anything unless it was being already stated to him that somebody knows. And so he was trying to get in front of it. But I'm like, you ain't want to clue Kayla in that you know that it's out there and that y'all want to downplay it. That's where you kind of lose me, Twan, in this whole situation. Why bring it up? And then why not warn Kayla at least that it's out there and this is happening and it's coming? But I think that speaks volumes. So there we are. We'll leave it at that. So the scene that really angered me the most, though, was this scene where Latisha is at her office that Marsau is supposed to be working on, and she's doing it herself, basically. She's putting up stuff herself. She's trying to get it done herself. He comes in. He is less than pleased, and she starts to recap what has gone on between her and Destiny. A couple of things. He basically tells her, we're supposed to be bigger than this. You can't be getting out of character, especially not defending me to some woman who is not married and has been basically ran through. Yes, he says that. As I had been thinking about when Latisha said that hoe over there, I'm thinking, does she mean it in the general, like in the real sense of the word hoe? Or is Destiny like reaching just a little bit with that offense? You know how like sometimes if somebody offends you, then you find something that they said that offends you too. So now both of y'all can be offended. I kind of was like, is that a reach? But now seeing this scene, I'm realizing that is not actually a reach for her to be upset about. Because you know how some people use the word hoe and they're really just kind of like saying, like, not really meaning you're a whore. You know what I'm saying? I think that's like what the way he said it was given whore. You know what I mean? Whore, lady of the night. You know, like, and to be honest with you, the crazy thing is you people never really say that about guys. People only like they only say it about women. But I the way Will jokes about the thing, if you saw him in this episode, the way he jokes, Will seems like a ladies' man. You would call him a ladies' man, but you would not say he looks like he's been ran through. And I get the actual physical innuendo of ran through. I get it. But still, even though it's just you the way it diminishes women in sexual fluidity, or not really fluidity, but just their desire for intimacy, and maybe with, more than one man. I, for one, feel like girls get your money, get that dick if you want it. Okay. Sorry to the ears, but I'm just gonna call it like I see it on this one, right? Ladies, do not let nobody make you feel less than because you want to go out and date multiple guys. Because guess what? The guys are doing it too. So who cares? Who cares? So I think now looking back on it, I'm just kind of like, whoa, so this is a thing, right? And of course, he could be going tit for tat, right? He could be saying, well, she was speaking negatively about me, so I'm gonna speak negatively about her. But at the end of the day, you trying to coach Tisha to be better, but you're not gonna do better yourself. If you were gonna really coach Tisha to take the high road, why don't you it be like a situation where it's not where it's kind of like do as I say and do as I do. But it's kind of more like do as I say, not as I do. Because you're upset with her for coming out of character, but you're calling y'all's homegirl, you're saying she's been ran through. So I just feel like that was a little bit crazy to me. And it kind of like, again, I felt like it did a disservice to the point that he was trying to make personally. Okay. And I didn't like it. And I felt like him taking such a more like a high ground morally in terms of how they look and how they are perceived. You got to follow your own blueprint, sir, because you're not following it right now. Your voice may not be raised, but let me tell you that the words that you're saying actually cut way deeper than what they did at that table that day. Okay. And so you're proving destiny right in this moment because you are critiquing her for defending you, and you're belittling her at the same time. It gets worse because then he goes into, well, you represent me. Okay. You got my last name. And she's like, well, I also represent me too. And I'm like, personally, I agree. Just because you are married does not mean that you are still not an individual person. Yes, your actions could reflect negatively upon the both of you, but the same goes for you then, Marsau. It's got to be do as I say and do as I do if that is going to be your thing for your wife. Okay. And if you are going to be the leader, then you've got to also lead by example, which you are not doing. The second thing, well, the second or third, whatever, I don't know what number we're on right now. But the thing that really then bothers me is this. He then says, well, since you represent yourself, then give me my last name back. What? What kind of statement is that? Like, really, what kind of statement is that to say to your wife, who is again trying to defend you? Then, of course, it gets so much. And you keep thinking to yourself, like, how far can he go? Like, how far can he really go? And I just feel like the conversations that she is having, because I want to I could list everything that he said, but I just find his statements to her to be super demeaning and leave no room for her to evolve and to grow as a person who is growing on television and navigating rumors in the past about him So she has to battle with the insecurities that she may have personally about herself, but also now she has to now battle these statements about their marriage, critiques about their marriage, rumors about him from former friends. It has got to cause a severe level of anxiety, discomfort. I would also say insecurity. Like, it's actually a lot. The other thing he says is, God bless you with a smart leader. And she's like, well, God bless you with a smart wife. And he's like, it doesn't go both ways. So, what is she then to you? His biggest complaint to Maurice later will be that he doesn't feel like he has a teammate in her because she keeps wanting to evolve her plans for herself to do better in her life. And that includes her getting further education, her getting her licenses when she had previously begged him to stay at home. Granted, you got to also estimate this with the age of the kids, the type of work she was doing, what she thought she could potentially do, and then what she then became able to do, being surrounded by super successful. Again, the group has evolved over time. They've expanded over time. So was he the only person that was supposed to grow and expand in this situation? And did he leave no room for flexibility for her to, I don't know, for some reason step outside of the home and stop churning butter and raising the kids? I think that he would prefer to live in the Handmaid's Tale, to be honest with you, than to actually have a wife that is, number one, supportive, but also wanting to support the home, the growth, and the evolution, and someone who wants, maybe, I don't want to say the Beyonce and Jay-Z of it all, but just to be a power couple in this space and not just be the woman behind the man who is doing it all. It's just such an antiquated belief system. I don't really get it. As Kimmi and Maurice try to get the brothers back together, because Kimmi is basically concerned from Latisha that Marsau has some residual feelings about Maurice due to that paperwork comment. When they do when all of the couples get together, it really does still turn back into Marsau versus Latisha versus Marsau versus Maurice, and the two brothers end up leaving. And Marsau tells him that as they get older, he just doesn't know if he could consider Tisha a good partner or not for him as the kids move on and grow. And maybe you are correct. Maybe she is not the perfect partner for you as they get older. Maybe you aren't the perfect partner for her. If you have to consider that, because it doesn't even sound like that would come out of her mouth. I don't think Latisha would ever even think that, utter those words aloud. I don't think she would. But for you to like question that on the national television in a way that you cannot take back, I appreciate the honesty, sir. But to be honest back, that was definitely not a good look, in my opinion, for me, based on everything that we've seen leading up to this moment. Not a good look. It was so frustrating to watch. The other thing that was a little less frustrating this week was seeing Trish and this whole spin the block thing. It spiraled because about a week ago, she was saying she spun the block and she was really happy about it. And she made it seem like it was like the cat's meow. But now, on a double date with Will and Destiny, when it's brought up, the spin the block thing, it doesn't sound very much like the cat's meow or the cat was meowing. It really kind of gave, oh, I was just texting with somebody, which, to be fair, it is her business to do so, right? I'm not here to manage or micromanage people and what they do and their actions. But what I am saying is there did seem to be a bit of a disconnect. But I also got to say, Destiny Girl, listen, if that's your home girl, you might not want to be bringing up what she done told you and the girls, because your allegiance should be to her. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. Because even Nell says later, when all the girls do get together, and I did like this, when Destiny had an event, all the girls came, even Latisha, to support the event. And they had a follow-up about the double date with Will and Destiny. and Trish and Ken about how Trish had spun the block story a different way. And so now Trish is saying, well, I spun the block, but we didn't do nothing. But it's given like 2 weeks ago, it was like, oh, I spun the block on that thing. That's what it was given. I mean, the way she told the story. Now, it could have been because she was drinking. She could have put some stank on it, but this is also lending itself to why people don't really maybe trust Trish as a reliable narrator, because the problem that we have with Trish is that the stories never seem to stay the same. There's no consistency. When she tells stories, it's kind of like, girl, what are you? Either you just give me what's really going on, or you just don't give me what's going on, or you say nothing. You should just say nothing. This is one of those situations. She about as bad as Twan. Maybe she should talk to Twan. They like to work out. Twan might be the one for her, because he too brings up things that he doesn't need to bring up, and then maybe wants to change the story a little bit later. I don't know. All I'm saying is, Trish, if you don't have to tell us that you spun, you ain't got to tell those girls that you spun the block. You ain't have to say nothing to nobody. It would have been better for you to say, listen, Ken and I are back together. We had some rough times, and now we're working it out. We're doing what we can. Do I trust him? Yes, I do. Will I trust him moving forward? Yes, I will. Period. The end. Everything else about y'all situation, other than that, in real life, you should have left it alone. But for reality TV purposes, girl, it's still, I'm glad you said it, but if you're going to say it, you got to stand in it, right? Even if the moment is awkward, stand in it. Yeah, and you could, because you could have been like, yeah, he know that I messed her, that I did a little shake with somebody else. He know. Or she could have been like, well, no, he did not know that until now, but thank you, Destiny. And then I would have been mad at Destiny if I was her. That's just, I mean, that's how you do it. If you really want to make some stuff shake on the show, if you're going to be real about it, either be real about it. And if you're not going to be real about it, then you be mad at the person who made you be real about it, which is Destiny. Okay? I'm just telling you how it go. And I know that's going to sound like, some of y'all might be like, I don't like, but that's the truth. Okay? So, girl, you supposed to be my homegirl, but now you right here, you out my stuff to my person. It's like, you ain't my homegirl. Get up from this table, actually. You disinvited. Reality TV 101, Trish. Take some notes. With that being said, y'all, that was the episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already done so. Of course, we do recaps on this channel all the time on all the different shows. So I'm so glad that you guys decided to stop by here today and tune in, tap in for this. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll catch you in the next video.